So I've got my scene set up, the staging area. I'm going to work from the side view for um, for the most part, and then I'm going to create towards the end a camera that's going to let me uh, record the or render the animation from another angle, but I want to start just with the side view. Now I only have one ball and one platform. What I would anticipate is at some point, if I wanted to, I would make a second platform, just duplicate the platform. You could start off, if you'd rather, with a platform that's wide enough to accommodate both balls. But what I'm going to do right now is just work with this one. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the ball. I'm going to make sure that it's doesn't have any history on it. So I'm going to delete by type its history. Make sure its transformations are frozen, so it's all zeros and ones over there in the channel box. And I'm going to make sure its pivot is centered. And then I'm going to select, in this case, you can see the axis here. It's blue for the z-axis going left to right. X would be going deep and Y is going up and down. So I'm going to choose the Z translation here and I'm going to key it. And then since I want this to be about 6 seconds and I'm traveling or I'm using 30 seconds per frame, I'm going to go a little bit past 180 seconds, which would be 6 seconds, to 190. And I'm going to move the ball there. And I'm going to right mouse on top of the translation and key to select it again. Okay. Now the shortcut, the keyboard command for this is if I just hit the letter S. But you see, if I hit the letter S, it's going to key all of the attributes. And I don't want to do that. Number one, that's going to slow it down when we have a more complex animation. And it's just going to add also more information when I get to an operation called the graph editor. We'll get to the graph editor in a little bit. So basically what I just did is created an animation. Woo! And there you go. So the ball is going to go there. Now, if you notice, just kind of carefully, the ball starts slow, picks up, and then slows down before it ends. Now that's a function of the software. So we talked about, or we listed in your assignment here, ease in and ease out. That the software will automatically create ease in and ease out. So if I were to go and just show you that graph editor, okay, here it is. And I select the ball and I select this translation. You see, this is what we mean by ease in, ease out. Okay, so the first keyframe is this orange dot here. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see it better. Okay, and it's at a value of 0. So up here, these are the frames. This is actually time. And on the left-hand side is the value, in this case, the translation Z. So when I'm at a value of 0 on frame 1, that's what it starts at. And as you can see, when I get to the end here at frame 190, at that point I'm someplace around what the software considers a negative value of negative, well, you can see up here in the channel box, 1960. Okay, so that's, now what I mean by ease in and ease out is you notice there's a slow curve here. Okay, so watch what happens. If I grab that point, all I've done is dragging I can click on the point, or I can drag a box around it, or I can drag a box. It's hard to see, but there's a little gray line here with a handle right there. It turned white now. Now, as I drag that, notice how I've made this line sharper. And if I drag this one, so if I get rid of that curve, essentially, if I create a very sharp diagonal line, what you're going to see is the ease in and ease out is going to change. It's going to become, there's not going to be any. It's going to go at the same pace for the entire thing. So we lost that slow. Now, ease in and ease out is critical because it's the natural way things happen. If you think about when you walk or when you jump, you start off from a standing still or a static position, and then you initiate energy, begin your motion, and then get into a full pace. And then when you stop, unless you have to abruptly stop, you generally slow down and come to a stop. So that's what the ease in and ease out does. And like I said, if we go back to the graph editor here, I can go back. Now you notice right now both, see there's another line there. It's just like an illustrator point. As I move that line, as I rotate this one handle, the other handle rotates. So this is now slow because it's a very slow change, very little change between the X and Y. Then when I get here, I'm changing pretty quickly, right? Because I'm a more extreme angle. And then here I'm slowing down again. And you have to sometimes be a little careful because if you go too far, you can accidentally go backwards. In other words, if you make this dip too extreme, well, let's show you that. Let's say I do that. Now what's going to happen is the ball is actually going to go, it's going to slow, speed up, and then it's going to go backwards because the value actually went below and then rose again. So you have to be careful when you work with that. This curve that you don't want to go generally below that. Although we'll see in a little bit when we do anticipation, we actually will use that to our advantage. So that's just an introduction to the ease in and ease out.